So now you know a little bit about what reading instruction looks like at ASB in early childhood, and we wanted to start to talk about what you can do to support your children with their literacy skills and reading at home. So I want you to take a moment to look at this comic. So, how do you get your kids to read? One mother is asking another. And I love this comic because it's a really visual way of showing one of the best things that you can do to support your child's reading, and that's modeling reading behaviors. So just your child seeing you read can be so, so powerful. Now, that could be reading a book, it could be reading a Kindle, it could be reading the news on your computer. That can look so many different ways, but just helping your child be aware that what you're doing is reading, just like you're going to ask them to do, can really be a powerful way to model some of those behaviors. Something else that often works is having some family reading time. So the idea that as a family, from this time to this time, we're all going to read. And maybe we're reading independently, maybe we're reading together, but that as a family, this is a routine that we develop and that we have happen. Also, visiting bookstores and the library. So, just the idea that we want to be surrounded by books as often as we can. And we're going to find times and experiences to do that. So, it doesn't mean necessarily having to go check out books or buy books, but getting excited when you pass bookstores and libraries and taking a look at the books they have. Now, it might not be easy due to life and time and all of those things to model that all the time. But what really is essential is that reading is happening. And that can look a number of different ways. It can be the adult reading to the child. So when I read aloud. It can be us reading together. So, like a we read, where we could be looking at the book together and sharing that text, or you read, where the child is reading independently. So building that into every day, if possible, can make a huge impact. So finally, something else to think about is really immersing your child in language and literacy as often as possible. So the idea that there is print, there is language all around us. So whether you're at the supermarket, driving in the car and you see signs, wherever you are, pointing out those words. And what you're probably going to hear your early childhood learners doing is really noticing the first letters, and so they might see something, a product with the same first letter as their name, and that's the first thing they'll say. That's exactly what you want to hear them doing, especially our youngest learners. So just helping them to notice that words are all around us. Now you have an idea of some of the different behaviors you can encourage, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about the types of questions and conversations you can have with your children while reading. So when we think about the lenses of reading, the way we can look at reading, there's kind of two sides. One is the decoding and fluency, and decoding is the actual breaking down the code of reading of text. So understanding what those symbols, our English letters, mean. Fluency is the idea of reading the way we talk, so how we put words together to sound really smooth as we read. Then on the other side, there's comprehension, which is really the whole point of reading. We read to make meaning of something. And comprehension can happen at multiple levels. It starts with literal, it can be inferential, and analytical. There's those three pieces, those three layers. So when you think about reading with your child, the first thing you want to do is preview books together. So it's really important that you start by looking at the cover of the book, reading the title, the front cover, and the back cover together. It's a great chance for vocabulary development. So for example, in this book, Caps for Sale, that is a very popular book with kids, even though it's been around a really long time, kids love it. This idea of a tale of a peddler, someone who sells something, some monkeys and their monkey business. So some of those words like peddler, monkey business, you might have to define for your child. It's a great way to build vocabulary. So once you've previewed the front of the book, you can also take a picture walk and look at those pictures together and start to make some predictions based on the title and the pictures. What might this book be all about? What do we think is going to happen? This is really, really powerful to do this with your child before reading. Once you're into the book, some of the ways that you can support decoding work is by looking for words your child already knows. So if you were looking at these two pages, I would expect, for example, a kindergartner to say, oh, I see the. Those are what we call sight words or sometimes snap words because they're the idea that they're words that we know in a snap. We don't have to sound them out, usually because we can't, and we don't have to think about it. We know them. So you can start by looking for those words, having your child identify the words that they recognize. Then, for the words they don't, they can start to look at the beginning letter and think about what's happening in the picture. So, for example, on this first page, I see the I know that's an M. What on this page could start with an M? Monkey. There we go. I see the monkey. And you can ask questions like, does that make sense? Yeah, that is a monkey. And having that kind of conversation. So the idea of starting with words they recognize, then beginning letters. And if your child, for example, I don't know, on page 2, instead of saying, I see the frog, they say, I see the flower. It's not a matter of don't feel like you need to correct them, but just, oh, I see the flower, I see the frog too. So again, just talking through what those pictures are showing us. When you think about supporting comprehension work, something to do is study and talk about those pictures. The pictures carry so much meaning in the books that early readers are reading. So that can be something as simple as, well, what do you see? What's happening? Why do you think that's happening? So that really pushes kids to another level of thinking. So I see that the monkey is swinging from tree to tree and he has presents. Why might he have presents? Oh, maybe he's going to a party. And that helps with the predicting piece. And then I love this too. What are the characters doing, saying, thinking? So again, in these pictures, it's clear what the characters are doing, but we could make up what they might be saying or what they might be thinking. Like the monkey could be thinking, I'm so excited to go to this party. Having those conversations with your child can be really powerful too. Okay, so again, just the importance of that when we're reading with kids, we're really working on all of these things together: decoding, fluency, and comprehension. And just because a child can potentially read all of the words on the page, they can decode really well, we need to check that comprehension is there. Because again, that's what reading is all about. So I just want to leave you with some things to think about over the summer and thinking about how to continue supporting your child with their reading. So first of all, read in all languages. It's really important that kids continue to read in their home language and develop that language. It will help them with all of the other ones they learn, including English. Play some snap word games. Again, if you've gotten those from your teacher. So whatever is appropriate for your child, your teacher will make sure to get to you. Practicing letters and sounds. So just pointing those out, noticing those around you. Visiting libraries and bookstores, reading the world around you, modeling those reading behaviors that I mentioned earlier, and most importantly, having fun. That's what summer's all about. So I'll leave you with this quote by the author Emily Buchwald, that children are made readers on the laps of their parents. So again, just thinking as often as you can, read with your child, help them develop that love of reading, and you'll be amazed by what they're able to do. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to talk more with you soon.